Today is for the gearheads and gadget lovers. I've got a brand new ultra high-end filter system from Kase that blends round magnetic with rectangular slotted ultra thin, really high quality filters. I've got a brand new fluid head system from the epic German maker Sachtler that I've been testing, and it actually makes me like some of my older fluid heads. We'll talk about what I love, what I don't love about it. Also, great news for fans of Fulography's Unleashed Bluetooth smartphone controller. They got a new version coming that's going to open it up for more users with different brands and more functionality, as well as a firmware update you're going to want to check out. Well, hey everyone, Hudson here. A lot of ground to cover, so I want to dive right in. But first I got just a quick announcement. Office hours is going to be 10 a.m. Pacific on November 16th, Tuesday. We'll be talking about all things photographic and taking your questions, as well as going through some of our favorite images from the recent road trip to Yellowstone, Tetons, and Moab with those 3 workshops that just ran. So sign up for Zoom or YouTube Live. You can watch it archived on YouTube if you miss it. And leave us your questions when you sign up at hudsonhenry.com/office hours. You know, we'll be going through doing live Q&A. We'll hit as many questions as we have, and we really look at those questions to drive the content. Those questions, the comments here on YouTube, and the emails that you send me. So I appreciate your being part of the Approach and Seeing community, and for contributing, sharing, liking, subscribing. It just makes all the difference. Oh, another quick note that I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows. I'm going to be talking about several different things in this video, so if you're more interested in watching or rewatching or skipping one thing than another, just jump into the video's full description, hit the title of the video or show more, and there's a chaptered out table of contents with clickable timecode links in there, along with links to all the products that I'm talking about, which you can always find at hudsonhenry.com/ATS links. There's got links to all my gear right there. So don't hesitate to jump in there and navigate through this video wherever you want to watch the most or rewatch. So I'm going to start off with the filter kit. This is a brand new filter kit from Kase that I asked them to make because I've had so many people, you know, I talk about the 112mm filters that fit so many of Nikon's lenses via the HB97 hood. And I sell those as well as the 82mm filters, but out on workshops and in emails, I get tons of questions from people about Kase's K9 holder and K100 filter set, and whether or not I'm going to be offering those filters. And I know there's a lot of people who just enjoy using slotted square filters. That's their preferred method. Kase makes a really amazing, ultra thin, really high quality, very, very like perfectly neutral set of filters with infrared blocking and really great neutral density. Now, you know that for still photography, I really don't recommend using graduated filters. And Kase kits traditionally have had graduated filters included. So I had them build a set of filters for me that don't include graduated. You can incorporate your graduated filters into it. You can get graduated filters and use them with it. You know, the only time I use graduated filters anymore is when I'm doing time lapse or video, because I think for still photography, it just gives you more flexibility in post-production and more accuracy to just blend multiple differentially exposed images, whether using HDR or by hand with layers. But this kit is super cool. This is everything that comes in the box right here. There's this great case that comes with a shoulder strap that's removable. There's a little tripod strap to just hang it from the hook on the tripod if you prefer that. The front pocket, I keep 3 things in there. There's a magnetic cap for the system that just protects your lens when the system's on. There's an 82mm ring, and then there's a 77mm ring. Those are installed in the K9 holder. Those are just as easy as undoing a little thumb screw and popping one ring in or the other. So I'm going to start off with the K9 with the 77mm ring in it and the cap. Now, rain may drive us into the studio here if that happens. I was hoping I could film outside, but it's Oregon in the winter. So it's as easy as just threading that on, and then you can drop this magnetic cap on here, which you can replace really, really easily, or even stack underneath with a round 95mm circular polarizer. All their filters come in these cool little sleeves, which I find just helps keep my fingers off them as I pull them out of the case. So there's a little spot to reach under here with your fingernail, pull the magnetic cap off, and then you've got a magnetic circular polarizer that drops on there. And you can spin that with this little red wheel on the side, whether there's filters in front of it or not. If you're worried about rain, like I am a little bit right now, you can drop this case cap right over the top. I keep these little really durable plastic sleeves in my pocket to just put back on the filters before I put them back in the case. If I wanted to drop, let's say, oh, and I also, in the case, so let me talk about what's in the case. In the case you get the 82 millimeter ring, the 77 millimeter ring, the holder, a set of little side rails to hold just 2 filters that's really thin and doesn't have much fear of vignetting on an ultra wide, and a set of 3 rails that stick out a little bit more and hold 3 filters if you want to stack them. A pair of adapter rings for 67 to 82 and 72 to 82. You can use your own adapter rings to get up to 82 or 77 if you want. Here comes the rain. It's got this circular polarizer and cap that I've got on there, the round ones. It also comes with a circular neutral night filter to drop in there that I had them make for this kit, so that if you're doing Milky Way work and you want to work with this kit, boom, you just drop that in there magnetically like we did the polarizer. You can take the cap off, and in here beyond those are a UV filter. So we've got just a straight up UV filter in case you're worried about rain or waterfall splash getting in front of your lens. You just drop it in there, and the gasket is on the holder, so you don't have to worry about a gasket on the filter. Just slots right in there to protect your lens from blowing sand or salt water or what have you. Put that back in the little sleeve. And then you could also drop in, I'm going to try to finish this before the rain drives me out of here. Oregon in late fall. Here's a 10-stop neutral density filter. Just slip, drop that guy right in there. And if you wanted to stack the UV in front of it, I've got my really thin little 2-slot system here. You could stack in more neutral density. This comes with a 3, 6, and 10 stop infrared blocking neutral density filter set. They're ultra thin. They weigh about half what a standard 2 millimeter thick filter that you'd be used to using weighs. And they're scratch resistant, hardened optical glass. So here I got it stacked with the UV filter in front of it just to protect it from the rain that's already hitting the front of it. So let's say you're working in a waterfall situation or something, you want to be wiping the front off with a cloth the whole time. And if you want to spin this thing, if you are using graduated filters, it's as easy as just loosening this little thumb knob. You want to spin that polarizer that's back behind. Right now we have a polarizer, a 10-stop, and a protective UV. The whole thing just weighs almost nothing, fits in this kit. As I said, it includes a simple little set that just screw in of rails to stack 3 filters instead of 2. The only accessories that I'm going to recommend and that I'll have in my store for this are a ring that lets it mount right to the front of the 14 to 24 2.8 S lens. Unfortunately, you can't use the circular polarizer or the neutral night filter if you slot this in front of the 14 to 24 because the petals of the front of that lens stick through it. But it lets you mount the K9 holder and slot square filters in front of it, like neutral density or graduated neutral density if you're doing time-lapse video, or if you really like, despite my warnings, doing graduated neutral density in front of your still photos. The other accessory that they make that I'll be carrying is this little $10 accessory, which is a multi-fit set of rails. It's a little bit wider, so you can put it comes with both a setup for 2 filters and 3 filters, just like the set that comes for the thin filters. If you mount these on here, you can mount either thin filters in there or traditional 2 millimeter filters if you have, filters from Lee, let's say, or older Stingray filters, or another brand. I have some really high-end Koken Nuance graduated neutral density filters that I sometimes use when I'm out doing video or time-lapse work, as I said. So these can come in handy for integrating your old kit with this new ultra thin. And when I talk thin, guys, these are 1.1 millimeter thick and darn near impossible to scratch from my perspective. I've been using them and haven't really scratched them yet. So they're super cool. All right, so before the rain runs me back into the studio, if you're interested in checking this kit out, you can see more about it over at my store, hudsonhenry.com/case. I think I'm the only one selling this kit at the moment that I had Kase make. Again, it's got the case, it's got the K9 holder, set up for 77 or 82 with adapters to 67 and 72 in the box with it. You've also got the magnetic circular polarizer, magnetic cap, magnetic neutral night filter, UV filter, 3, 6, and 10 stop solid neutral density. I think I'm the only one with that kit right now. And take a note before I run inside from this rain. If you put 3 things in the cart from my Kase store, you get 10% off the entire order. It doesn't matter if it's 2 of those little $10, universal side rail systems. You get 10% off the whole order. That's a cool thing for the holiday season. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna run inside to talk about the Unleashed and the Sachtler head. Thank God all these cameras that I'm using right now are Nikons and really water resistant. All right, peace. All right, if there's one thing we know in Oregon, it's not to rely on the weather in the fall or the spring. So what can look like a beautiful day can suddenly turn to a rainstorm. Back here in the studio, let's talk about Foolography's Unleashed. It's this tiny, tiny little dongle gadget plugged into the port of my Nikon Z7 II here, and there's a little cord coming off it underneath my L bracket. It doesn't interfere with the L bracket at all, plugged into the USB-C port. The box that it comes in, I thought was empty when I got my first one. You open it up and it's just literally this little cord with a couple of pieces that fit into your camera. It powers off the camera so you don't need to charge it. It plugs into your phone. I know a lot of you have the original version that came out in 2017. It's my favorite Bluetooth controller for long exposures and time-lapse applications and bulb ramping time lapses to do day to night transitions and night to day. It's a really, really cool little device. You flip on your camera, it powers up, a little light comes on the side of it. You flip on your app and connect to it, and you can do photo, video, time-lapse, bulb ramping. Let's go into photo. I've got 2 of them. The one is in the box that's off with the red dot. This one's connected to my Nikon Z7 II. Boom, I open it up, there's the settings. So the exciting news about this thing is there's a firmware update that adds more functionality, better connectivity, quicker connection, works with more cameras straight out of the box, so a wider range, like it's much more optimized for the Z6 II and Z7 II. It used to work great with the Z6, Z7 and have some flukiness with the Z6 II and Z7 II. Now it works great across the board. And they've got a brand new version of the whole thing coming out for 2022. They'll continue to support the original 17 version, but the 2022 version is going to have some even more advanced bulb ramping features and app capabilities, as well as it's going to work beyond Nikon and Canon. It's going to also work for Fuji, Sony, and Panasonic. So it opens the world to a lot of the best cameras out there. Here's why I love the thing. Let's say you're here, controlling your camera. Right now, if I go to 1 minute and 30 seconds, it pops up on my camera 90 seconds. So I'm controlling it in manual mode. I can control all these different aspects, from white balance, quality, exposure compensation, ISO, shutter speed, f-stop. But let's throw it into bulb mode. I've got the extended shutter activated in the Z7 II, so it goes past 15 minutes into bulb. And then when I go into the Unleashed app's long exposure mode, let's say we were at a shutter speed of, say, 10 seconds is what our meter said. And we want to make it a little longer than 10 seconds. We're going to add 3 stops in neutral density. Well, I can just pull this right down here, say 3 stops in neutral density, and it automatically switches it to a 1 minute, 21 second exposure. Boom, I trigger it, and right now my camera with silent shutter is taking that exposure. I can see the little countdown as it winds around. I'll go ahead and stop that. My camera just opened back up. How long can we actually do this? Well, it's doing a little noise reduction right now so that the app is closed till it comes back. Okay, we're done. So let's say I scrolled up. You can see this goes way beyond what even the Z6 II and Z7 II will do. It'll automatically do up to 4 hours and 33 minutes. So it's a cool little app and US or Bluetooth device for sure. I've also used the Pluto trigger a fair bit. Pluto trigger, you got to keep charged. You got to plug it in via USB. Make sure you don't turn it on in your bag, and it goes into the hot shoe, and you got to get a cord bent around. I just leave this thing plugged into my camera all the time, unless I'm out in really harsh conditions, worse than the rain that we just encountered, and I'm concerned about having the port covers open and something plugged into them. That's the only time I pull it out, is just to protect against rain intrusion, or if I need to use the ports for something else, like running the battery while I'm doing something else. So it's a really cool device. I'm going to put a link to the Kickstarter campaign as well as the updates. I really suggest you run over there and check it out. All right, so we're going to wrap up by talking about a new fluid head system from Sachtler. A lot of people know I've been a huge advocate of this Manfrotto 500AH ultra lightweight 2-pound fluid head system to just give you stability, precision, and versatility that you can't really get with a ball head. I'll link in the last video I did on why I think people should be using that. People are constantly asking me though, is there a tripod that carries a bigger load or does smoother pan and tilt for people that do hybrid work and video work that have adjustable drag on the fluid? And the answer is yes. A lot of people jump to thinking I would recommend the Manfrotto 502 or 50H bigger heads. I find those kind of cumbersome and bulky. For years, I have used a Sachtler FSB6, a lighter weight Sachtler fluid head with adjustable drag, vertical and horizontal for tilting and panning, and a backlit bubble level. It's heavier by far. It weighs 3 times more than my Manfrotto head. So Sachtler came out with this new head, the Active system. They've got an Active 6 and an Active 8. I picked up an Active 8. It's load rated for doing smooth pan and tilts with 26 pounds. It has adjustable control from level 7 or drag with the fluid for using a big heavy setup or doing really slow drags, vertical and horizontal, all the way back to 0 where there's 0 stoppage at all if you just want to work like a gimbal, to having just a little bit, you know, so that it slows you down, makes you a little bit more precise. It has adjustable spring load. You can loosen this and slide its rail forward and backward. I'm using a Kirk Enterprise Solutions adapter that lets me go horizontal or vertical to grab an Arca Swiss rail oriented either way. I'll put that in the links. But I found some problems with this. There's some stuff I love. I've always loved pushing the top of my level on my FSB6 head and being able to see it light up at night and get my level looking down. This one adds a little mirrored assembly. If I hold it in for a second, it gets even brighter and lasts longer. And it lights the drag control settings and the return spring adjustment, as well as a little mirrored assembly that lets me see the level from the side if it's set up above where I can't see down on it. And they added a sort of a new way of leveling where you've got this little handle here on the front. We light up the level and just pull that little knob to loosen the whole thing in its bowl and then let go. Click, there it is, it's set. Now everything I do is level. It's cool, instead of having to loosen something from below, you keep both hands on the head. I think that's a novel, nice idea. That connection also enables you to have a quick release. So you can just pull that lever all the way up, pop right off this little fitting that mounts in your bowl. And if you use it on multiple tripods, or you use it, let's say, on a slider like I sometimes do, suddenly your video rig is set up here, ready to do pans and tilts smoothly on a slider. Cool enough. The problem for me was adapting it to the bowl head that I have in my systematic tripod legs. The ones that I have from Gitzo and from Leo Photo and Enduro, none of those bowls really worked with it. It has a real kind of limited range of leveling motion when you put this little adapter guy in there. And the only bowl I could find that it worked with without sort of just coming off the tracks and breaking down was a Robus bowl that came with the Robus 5570 legs that a lot of people complained to me didn't have very much leveling adapter play. It moves like, I don't know, 3 or 4 degrees in each direction. Now I know it's going to work better with Sachtler's own legs, and if you have an older set of Sachtler legs, you can send them in and for a fee they'll adapt them to this Active system. To me, it's all just kind of a pain, and it ties you into their system and it limits your adaptability to your own gear and being able to use it across a broad range of things. So for me, it kind of negates the cooler parts of the new Active 8 system. Now, for years, I've carried this FSB6 I was telling you about. So I went to look, are they still offering the FSB line? And lo and behold, they've updated it. So they now have the FSB6 and FSB8 version 2. They weigh a little bit less than the Active 8 system. I think the FSB8 is like 5.7 pounds, where this is like 6 pounds. It's a little bit less expensive. These are not cheap heads. You still have, they brought in the cool new bubble level that's lit both from the side and above, and it lights the controls, the new little bit more nuanced controls, and they left it with the standard mount that'll go in any 75mm bowl that you might want to work with. It's cheaper than it used to be because the new active line is the top of the line. So what I'm gonna link is the brand new Sachtler FSB8. I think the 8 is a little bit better than the 6. The 6 is a little cheaper. I'll put links to both of them. The 6 holds 14 pounds, the 8 holds like 26 pounds. Now you have to remember, as I'm constantly saying, those weight loads that they give you for these fluid heads are more about being able to do smooth pans and tilts with heavier video rigs. It's not about locking down a still rig to do still photography. I frequently have locked down a 400 millimeter 2.8 with a big pro build Nikon body with this little 500 AH head that I carry all the time. This head is not going anywhere for me. You know, I'm not buying a new Sachtler head either. I'm more than happy with my old FSB6. But if you are a person who does more advanced video work, you want more control over your pans, tilts, video motions, or you just want a bigger head and a fancy head with a lit bubble level that's really, really cool, and you're doing mostly car-based stuff and you're not carrying it on your back, you know, I would say the brand new FSB6 and FSB8 are the way to go. For every other application, and 95% of the time, what I use is this ultra light little Manfrotto 500 AH. It's still my go-to head. It's the one that goes on my pack. It's the one that I carry down the trail. It weighs 2 pounds with the Kirk Enterprise Solution bridge adapter and Arca clamp that rotates on the top. It's just a dream head. So again, I'm linking the video on that. I'm putting links to the new Sachtler heads in this video's description. I'll put a link to the last video I did on the 500 AH and why I love it. But if you want a little bit bigger head, check out that Sachtler FSB 8 version 2. All right, everybody. So that's it for this week. I hope people are enjoying the start of the holiday season. I hope they're staying safe. We're about to get our little guy Pike. He's 5 and he's due to be vaccinated on Friday, which is so exciting. I hope everyone else is staying safe, staying creative. Remember, office hours on the 16th, 10 a.m. Pacific. Sign up at hudsonhenry.com/office hours. All right, everybody. Have fun. Stay creative. We'll see you next week.